I am going to make the case that if the United States of America is not Mystery Babylon, then she does such a good impression that she should expect to drink from the same cup and to receive of her plagues. Last time we opened chapter 5 with a lesson about the chiastic double fulfillment of biblical prophecy laced throughout Scripture. Then we discussed Isaiah's prophecies about how Babylon's enemies will make her desolate. Then we overviewed what the Scriptures reveal about Babylon as a land of immigrants. We took a look at what role modern Islamic nations play in the ultimate takedown of Mystery Babylon. We then discussed the scriptural comparisons of Babylon to Sodom and Gomorrah in the book of Isaiah. We finally closed with identifying America's true God, which is printed right on the money. Now we will continue with a wrap-up of Isaiah before diving into the book of Jeremiah.
Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent, and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. I was wroth with my people, I have polluted mine inheritance, and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke, and thou saidst, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this. Thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, None seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast laboured from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up, and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Behold, they shall be as stubble, the fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast laboured, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save thee. the Lord spake against Babylon, and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish, and set up a standard, publish, and conceal not. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces.
Understanding the significance of these first two verses of Isaiah in regards to Mystery Babylon's identity is going to require a good-sized lesson. As stated in episode 1, we are building line upon line and precept upon precept. America is the land of idols. Never has a nation produced such a lineup of international superstars across film, music, sports, and industry. Take a look at Hollywood Boulevard. Stars are supposed to be above in the sky. However, these are placed on the ground underfoot. They are fallen stars. We know from the book of Revelation that refers to Satan's angels. Look who else showed up. Interesting. But that's a topic for another day. The U.S. is unquestionably the epicenter of idolatry today. Yes, people still do bow down to statues in the East, but those nations haven't captured the minds and imaginations of the people all across the world like the U.S. has. People dream of coming to the U.S. At least they used to. Furthermore, not to be outdone, paganism and statue worship are growing in the United States of Babylon today. Giant statues are being erected. Both the Democrat and Republican national conventions opened with pagan prayers last year. Remember, too, that idolatry takes many forms aside from overt worship of false gods and goddesses. Take a look at the adoration that so-called Swifties pay to their demonic inverted idol as an example of American religious devotion that exceeds the fervor of most pagan priests. Okay, so you understand that idolatry is seeping out of the pores of America. However, perhaps you feel the list of Babylonian gods that Jeremiah mentions are outdated today. Think again. The Babylonian system, from economics to religion, is still what drives the world today. Earlier, I displayed an image of Katy Perry riding a lion. Surely you knew it wasn't a cult ritual. Perry, or perhaps her handlers, were evoking a Babylonian goddess, Inanna. She was perhaps the original lion goddess, often depicted with or riding on top of a lion, of which she had 7. Any thoughts that this Super Bowl line was simply a nod to Perry's song Roar can be quickly dismissed with a simple review of the plethora of occult symbols that accompanied the whole spectacle. Realize, too, that hit songs are often pre-laced with occult meaning right from the get-go. Inanna formed the goddess mold of Ishtar, pronounced Easter, also known as Semiramis, the wife of Nimrod, stepped into. In episode 1, we talked about how it all goes back to Babel, which is where the Babylonian religion traces both its location and origin, and really even further to the antediluvian world, where the Sumerians worshiped the same Inanna that Easter would later evoke. We see a typecast of Inanna in the Whore of Babylon. She was the ancient goddess who once rode and controlled the beast, but is now drunken on the blood of the saints and ultimately devoured by the beast. Compare the 7 lions of Inanna to the 7-headed beast of Revelation. As such, the Whore of Babylon may be connected to the very lying goddess of Babylon itself, of whom Hollywood and the music industry continuously evoke. The enemy knows who Mystery Babylon is, while her people are blind to it. Her father referencing false gods and goddesses in order to show his dominance over them is a biblical principle we've seen before. For example, I did an entire video on how all of the plagues of Egypt during the time of Moses were an answer to a false Egyptian deity that was said to control that aspect of nature. Yes, even the parting of the Red Sea. So we shouldn't be surprised to see our father destroying a familiar Babylonian goddess to show his dominance. It is written that he puts it in the hearts of them to devour her and consume her with fire. Do you remember the fire dress that Perry was wearing? Very interesting. And yes, I know that the 7 heads of the beast represent 7 kings, not 7 lions, but I do not believe for a moment it is a coincidence that the whore of Babylon appears to also reference an actual false deity of Babylon. The Father brings it all together, thousands of years in advance, declaring the end from the beginning as only He can. Hallelujah. Now, let's continue in Jeremiah.
For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast.
We have to pause again already. Jeremiah is so rich with clues about Mystery Babylon's identity. It reads, a nation will come up against her from the north. Persian Medes were north of the original Babylon. As previously stated, if you continue further north, you'll hit Moscow, Russia, almost directly above. This is very meaningful in regards to the case for the United States. The U.S. is located in North America, with very few nations north of her. Most of the northern nations are peaceful, such as Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. But there is one nation from the north who is a bitter enemy with the U.S. Ever since the Cold War began in 1945, the U.S. and Soviet Union have been rivals. Considering America's long-standing antagonistic posture toward Russia, it is not difficult to envision her northern rival wanting to burn her to the ground, as described in the book of Revelation. As you can see from the map, there are no modern countries north of the region except for Georgia, the Ukraine, and Russia. Who would you peg out of those three as the destroyer from the north? And more importantly, which nation would you expect that destroyer to set its target on? This all coincides with Russia and China suddenly rising in power and prominence, while for the first time in decades, the other nations are beginning to question the U.S.'s position. Let's continue.
In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God. They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, Come, and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people hath been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, We offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flocks.
So here's where it gets really interesting. The last few verses we read refer to the regathering of Israel, and this has major ramifications in regards to the identity of Babylon. So what we see here is a series of events being set up for the end times that mirror an earlier event. This is God Himself who has drawn our attention to it as He superimposes these two series of events on top of each other. And so that is the fall of the original Babylon, which immediately was followed by the original regathering of Israel. And then in these end times, we have biblical prophecy promising the fall of Babylon again, of Mystery Babylon, and also a regathering of Israel in the end times. And so as we look at these events, a huge portion of the Israelites come directly out of Babylon, and particularly the tribe of Judah, who was conquered and absorbed into that empire. Now, we do have an expectation for the end times regathering, that the people come from all the corners of the earth because that is written in prophecy. But again, there should be a particularly large remnant coming out of Babylon. And so it brings up a lot of questions because many people would say that the regathering has already occurred. And some might argue that that was not of God and that the true regathering has not yet taken place. There's quite a bit of debate about that. And so next time we are going to dive into that topic as well as another controversial one, and that's in regards to possible identities for the lost tribes of Israel and all of it in relation to how that affects the identity of Mystery Babylon. And so we'll get into all of that the next time. Until then, may God bless you and keep you.